Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with Alex and Ryan. A certainly disappointing day last night. Obviously, Juan Soto going to the New York Mets. A lot to kind of break down, lots of coping going on in the social media universe, and ultimately, this is not how we expected things to go. The Yankee legacy doesn't mean much anymore, apparently. They gave $760 million to him on the table over 16 years, and Steve Cohen said, not so fast, buddy. I mean, the Yankees had the advantage throughout the entire day and the evening, and Cohen came in the last second and said, here's basically $805 million. He has an opt-out after his fifth season. The Mets can basically void that opt-out and add an extra $5 million to each year's salary, bringing it up to $50+ million, $55 million, some crazy amount. Listen, I can't sit here, Ryan, and act like, Hal Steinbrenner didn't put his best foot forward. He put $760 million on the table. Like, I can't sit here and act like Hal didn't try. And I think I can stand by the fact that, like, we gave it our best shot. Like, he went for the most money, and Steve Cohen has the most money. It's just as simple as that. There was no bond between the Yankees and Juan Soto. Juan Soto was in it for the money. He said all the right things. He said all the great things about the fans, how much he loved the locker room and the fan base and everything. It was all bullshit. Every single thing that man said was bullshit. And look, I will say this. There should not be a double standard when it comes to teams being a business and players being a business. Teams do this to players all the time. We love this player. We do it to Gleyber Torres right now. We love Gleyber Torres. He's so great. Good player, great in the locker room, and then we let him go. This is a business after all. Teams do it relentlessly to players. They destroy these young guys no matter what. They kill them. They crush them. So Juan Soto doing his number and getting the most money, I don't blame him because teams will do the same thing to him if they have the opportunity to save a penny. So, I'm not going to say all the best luck to him because I do think that it was a little bit of a disrespectful move, but he went for the money. It's his right to do so. It sucks. It is what it is. Now we have to look to plan B. The Yankees are putting plans in place. We have a couple ideas. Ryan, you were in the lab all night long. No sleep wasted. Trying to figure out how to turn this thing into, I won't say a positive, but at least a supplement. Because losing 8.1 WAR is devastating. Now, that was Juan Soto's best season ever. 8.1 WAR, he's never even come close to that. I don't even think he broke 7 WAR until this past year. So I do think he will regress slightly. The outfield in the Mets and Citi Field is a little bit different. He may struggle a bit there, but it's irrelevant to even talk about Soto. He's an unbelievable player, generational talent. He's going to be a superstar wherever he goes. The Mets fans are going to absolutely love that guy. He does everything the right way. He comes in big moments. It sucks to not have him, but there is a way out of this for the Yankees. We now know they're willing to spend money, Ryan. They're going to drop a couple bags. Now, it has to be on the right players. It has to be in the right moments. It has to be at the right positions. This is where we see, and Ryan, this is what I'm going to say, first and foremost, the easy path was signing Juan Soto. We're about to see how good of a general manager Brian Cashman really is. Because if he makes the right moves here, he can dig us out of this hole. But if he makes the wrong moves, he's going to bury us in the hole. And this is where we see, is he the Hall of Fame general manager people seem to make him out to be? Or is he just capable of getting the best players and spending the most money, which is no longer a path for the Yankees? They've lost out on a number of huge free agents over the last couple years. Aaron Judge, by the way, guys, we are never slandering Aaron Judge ever again. That dude came back to the Yankees for less money. He came back to be a Yankee. That dude should never have a bad word said about him because he actually gave a shit about this organization, gave a shit about the legacy, gave a shit about being a captain here. I don't care what he did during the postseason. That man is an absolute hero, and I respect the hell out of Aaron Judge for coming back to the Yankees. And, he got a big contract, but he did it without, kind of shoving it right back in the Yankees' face. And, I do think that does earn a little bit of respect in my eyes. But, Ryan, I know you're not feeling great this morning. I know things are definitely a little bit depressing. This is a tough pill to swallow, but there is a way out of this. There is a way to invest in other positions. There is a way to be very competitive next year. We still have a good roster with a lot of young talent rising through the ranks. We are going to add a big starting pitcher. We both think Max Fried would be a great solution here, but we got to find the offense now. We got to get big pitching and some big bats. Where are you starting post Juan Soto sweepstakes?
Yeah, so the first thing I feel like is sad. I mean, you want Juan Soto back, right? It sucks. I didn't think the last time he took an at bat with the Yankees, it would be the last time I ever saw him play for the New York Yankees. But It is what it is. It's a business, as you mentioned. I agree with everything you said about the business part of it. I agree with every single part. He has every right to go take top dollar, right? He handled this negotiation beautifully. Scott Boras, what a masterclass. I mean, like, that's the kind of stuff. Like, Scott Boras and Juan Soto were a match made in heaven. And I mean that in a complimentary way. Those two were a match made in heaven. Just worked. But as it pertains to a plan B, what's next for the Yankees? The Yankees have to go try to get better, right? Now, I don't know. I don't believe the Yankees should just rage spend. And I mean rage spend to say I don't think the Yankees should just go get Burns, go get Fried, go get this guy, go get that guy. Like, you've gotta still be smart with your spending, right? If you're gonna say I don't think we can pay $800 million to one player, you have to carry that same level of financial wisdom with other players. I'm not saying that let's be honest, right? I don't think either of us thought Juan Soto was getting $800 million, right? Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I did not
Egregious
think...
money, dude. It's
right,
egregious money. It's stupid money. It's money that we never would have thought in our lifetimes we'd see for a singular player who's horrible at defense, but the offense is obviously... He's the face of the Mets. He's the face of the Mets. He is going to build a legacy there.
Yeah.
That money, I mean... Look, I can't even blame House Steinbrenner for not spending that money. Like as much as I'm like, damn, like we missed out on Juan Soto. Like as a human being with an inkling of pride, that is stupid money. And I have to say, like, if I'm Hal, I'm like kind of breathing a sigh of relief. I didn't just spend $760 million on one player. You know what I mean? From a financial standpoint, like, that's egregious. It really is. We wanted to win. We are the Yankees. We wanted to set that stage, set that precedent, keep being that number one market team. But, like, there's a line you don't cross, and Steve Cohen was hell-bent on winning. It wasn't about Juan Soto in the end of the day for me. It was about Steve Cohen showing the entire league that he now wants to be the big dog in New York. So, going to be kind of interesting. I definitely think this was a power play for Steve Cohen, but this does not mean the Yankees are falling behind. They just have to recalibrate.
Yeah, I think the downfall of the Yankees stuff, it's like, I mean, every year it's the downfall of the Yankees stuff. People have been waiting for 3 decades for the Yankees to, like, I don't know, completely collapse. So, do I think the Yankees are going to finish with 75 wins and that New York will never be a Yankee town again? No. Like, I think, you got to kind of take a step back, remove the emotion from it. And I say that because the Yankees have work to do. We have work to do. Alex, we're like, you and I aren't going to just go, this is it. Fireside Yankees is over. Soto's gone. The franchise is over. Like, no, that's bullshit. Like, that's loser mentality. I think the Yankees, it's just, you got punched in the face. You've got to get back up and find a way to compete. Look, the Yankees have a competitive roster. The Yankees were a team that went to the World Series last year with Juan Soto. Do they go to the World Series right now without Juan Soto? Absolutely not. I mean, I've seen projected lineups with DJ LeMahieu starting. Alex, I feel like throwing up when I see that. They're going to need 3
It's not
bats.
realistic.
I think that's kind of
the
right.
Same
I think the first
before we got Juan Soto last year, it was like Franchi Cordero in projected lineups. Like, give me a break.
Hey, at least Franchi Cordero, like, had some big home runs. 2024 DJ LeMahieu might actually be, like, the worst baseball player of all time. But in all seriousness, though, like, not trying to bullshit here, they need 3 bats, and I think they need a starting pitcher. I would like to get a reliever. Like, I say 1 reliever, 1 starter, and 3 bats. And Alex, I think the Yankees can get creative here. We talk about Max Fried. It doesn't have to be just Max Fried. But it has to be a quality starting pitcher because it gives the Yankees leeway to move a pitcher for a bat. The players I'm targeting are Brendan Donovan or Lars Nootbaar from the St. Louis Cardinals in that scenario. Maybe a Nathaniel Lowe from the Texas Rangers. I think those 3 players fit what the Yankees need very well. Multiple years of control, young, excellent defensively, excellent offensively. Obviously, you're not going to replace Juan Soto's value. I get that. There's no scenario where you can do that. You cannot. And I know people are going to say, well, what if he has like a good, not great year next year? That's irrelevant because you're talking about the value you got from him last year, right? So that's why, Alex and I are going to hammer the point home. I don't really care if you think Soto's worth $55 million, not, and when it pertains to, trying to replace his value. The argument here isn't that Juan Soto will 100% return earn the value of $55 million. I don't know that. But what I do know is he 100% put up 8.1 WAR last year, and he 100% will not be playing for the New York Yankees in 2025. Now that we know those two things, you have to find a way, again, you have to find a way to replenish that. I'm kind of souring on paying a pitcher long term, so I think I might be more of like sign Nathan Eovaldi instead of paying Max Fried, just because I don't really want to pay a pitcher 6-7 years. We've done that dance with Rodon. Hasn't really worked out. Like how many long-term pitcher contracts work out? They're one pitch away from tearing their UCL, and then you have a $26 million a year non-factor. If it's Nathan Eovaldi and he tears his UCL, crap, you burn 2 years. Stroman's contract, for example, his contract's not hindering you from getting better. It's just not great. It's suboptimal. That's the reality of it. I'd rather burn $40 million than potentially burn $190 million. I know that the Red Sox are going to be in on Fried, and it's going to be, oh, you should go steal him for the Red Sox. I don't care. I kind of don't care. I know that this team needs bats. If they get Eovaldi, they can trade someone. I'd be comfortable trading Clark Schmidt. I know that people say all the time, you can't trade cost-controlled players. Yeah, for a rental, sure, but I'm not talking about trading him for Josh Naylor. I'm talking about like a Brendan Donovan or, again, a Lars Nootbaar, a Nathaniel Lowe, someone with at least 2 years of control can help this offense. I really like the idea of signing Teoscar Hernandez. I think his bat is explosive. He provides you with some power that you desperately need. If you're able to get, let's say a Brendan Donovan, a Teoscar Hernandez, and then you can swing back and get a first baseman, whether that's, a Christian Walker or perhaps you swing a trade for Lamont Wade Jr., and suddenly you've got a lineup where you've got, Lamont Wade Jr., Aaron Judge, Teoscar Hernandez, Lars Nootbaar, Giancarlo Stanton, Jazz Chisholm, that's a deep lineup. They can hit, and they'd be excellent defensively. That's another thing, too. I think, Alex, we've got to start leaning into run prevention more. I saw this from Randy Wilkins at Passom on Twitter. If you guys don't know who Randy Wilkins is, I'd kind of be shocked. But he was talking about run prevention. That's got to be the theme of this team now. I agree. Like the path for this team to contend is going to be being elite at run prevention and hitting, and not hitting just enough, but having good hitting, but not, obviously not, it's not going to be as good as it was last year. Another advantage the Yankees do have is they still have Aaron Judge, and he's like the best hitter on planet Earth. And like that matters, you know what I mean? I think Wells will be better than he was last year. I think Dominguez can be a better hitter than Verdugo was. Again, I naturally think they're going to upgrade at first base. With whatever they do, they could literally do nothing and they'll be better at first base. I wonder how creative they'll get. I wonder what they'll do. We're going to learn a lot tonight because there's going to be a hot stove from Jack Curry, and he's, the most plugged in with this. But Alex, you're right. The path to contention is a lot harder than it would have been with just Juan Soto. But again, the Mets went to $800 million. The Yankees weren't comfortable doing that. Like whether it pans out the way we hope it does or not, and I don't mean that to say I hope he fails, but that we can contend. I don't really care what happens with Juan Soto. I care with what happens with the Yankees. We'll see how that gamble works out. But yeah, it's a lot harder. It's possible, but it's a lot harder. It really is.
It is. The only thing that the Yankees have really going for them right now, Ryan, is that the American League is pretty soft, right? So, like, one way or another, the Yankees can reinforce this team enough to get back to a World Series. The NL, I mean, Dodgers and Mets are going to be battling it out for the next decade, right? Like, those two teams are going to be fighting tooth and nail. All the Yankees have to do is get to the World Series, and anything can happen. You can get lucky. Make a nice play. A guy hits a homer, a guy goes crazy and scores a bunch of... Like, anything can happen if you just get to the World Series. The Yankees have a much easier path in the American League. That's just objectively true, unfortunately. There are some big free agents coming to fruition next year, and Kyle Tucker and Vladdy. So, maybe they wait and spend big next year. I mean, it's possible. I don't think that they will do that because, Vladdy obviously is more also a one-dimensional player in the sense that he's a horrible defender at first, but an elite offensive threat. Kyle Tucker is really interesting. Awesome player for the Astros. They're kind of also like teetering on the brink. They don't know. They want to bring Bregman back. They are like $50 million too short in his contract. But, right now, Ryan, I think that you do have a point when it comes to Nathan Eovaldi. Like, you go and get him and you let Max Fried go. But at the same time, if you were able to pay Max Fried a little bit more year over year and then get an opt-out after maybe year 3 or 4, is that something that might be intriguing to you? Because I feel like maybe you could pay him a bit more. Maybe you boost him to $30 million per year. You give him a little bit more money. And then you you are able to factor in an opt-out after some sort of year, because how many teams are really going to be involved? I mean, the Red Sox could spend big, but those other teams, I mean, going to be involved here. So we'll see what happens. And Fried obviously loved the Yankees, what they had to say. You know, he really liked them. Everyone knows the Yankees, like, they make pitchers better, objectively. Like, that's what they've always done. Obviously, Roki Sasaki's been posted, but everyone kind of feels like he's going to the Dodgers, and the Padres have an inkling of hope, but it's really the Dodgers that have all of it. Maybe the Mets even have a big play now for him. So, you know, we'll see what happens in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. Obviously, if the Yankees got him, that would be like okay, like maybe we can salvage this offseason. But there's going to have to be a combination of trades and whatnot. So I'll ask you this, though. Would you be willing right now to go get Cody Bellinger and a trade in a salary dump? I mean, the Cubs may pay for a nice chunk of his salary. They're trying to offload him. Everyone's saying, like, nobody's biting on it, but they want to get rid of him. He can play first, can play the outfield. He would have hit, 26 homers last year in Yankee Stadium, only an 18 in Chicago. Is this now a situation where you're like, I think Cody Bellinger would be a good fit for the Yankees if they ate some salary? He has a player option at $26.6 million in 2026. Obviously, it's a little expensive, but he is only 29 years old. He can help you at a couple spots. A little bit of versatility wouldn't hurt. Is this something now that you're considering more seriously, or are you like, let's just spend on Teoscar Hernandez and then avoid Bellinger at all costs?
Yeah, just go get Teoscar Hernandez. Look, let me explain something about Cody Bellinger. Good player. Good player. The problem with Cody Bellinger is not that he's bad at baseball. God, it's so tough to try to, like, figure out how, like, the Cubs would have to eat a lot of money, and maybe they're willing to. If the Cubs are willing to give it to you for, like, free, basically, I mean, shit, I'd do it, right? But why would they give him to you for, like, hey, we'll eat, like, 50% of the money and you don't have to really give us anything? It's like, why? Why would you ever do that? Again, maybe the Cubs are just, like, really desperate to move off of any money they can. Maybe they're just so desperate to keep payroll down. Wouldn't be crazy. Really wouldn't, like, be the most unbelievable thing ever. But, like, I don't know. I think Teoscar Hernandez is the better hitter. I really do think that. Like, I think Teoscar Hernandez, like, I think Teoscar Hernandez, I've kind of, like, been on the fence about him, but in 4 of the last 5 seasons, he's had a WRC plus of at least 130, right? If you want to talk about replacing Juan Soto, obviously you're not going to do it with Teoscar Hernandez. He's not nearly as good as Juan Soto is. But if we're talking about trying to replace Juan Soto, a guy who, number one, is actually pretty fast. His sprint speed, I think, is in the 75th percentile. And he's been an above-average base runner in terms of base running value in, again, 4 of his last 5 seasons. The 1 year where he wasn't a 130 WRC plus hitter or had positive base running value, he was in Seattle. Seattle seems to just be a place where hitters go to die. So I'm kind of just, like, throwing that out the window. It doesn't count to me. I don't know. And Alex, I mean, Hernandez, he would provide you a 130 WRC plus hitter, 30 home runs, a guy who's done it in the postseason. We saw him in the postseason. Unfortunately, he basically ended our season. Let's be honest, right? Like, that double in Game 5 ended our season. Might have cost us Juan Soto. He might have had one of the most consequential hits in Yankees franchise history against the Yankees. He might have just iced us, right? If you think the franchise is going to collapse because he didn't sign Soto, go point to Teoscar Hernandez and maybe blame him. I'm joking, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's delivered some big hits. He's performed well in the regular season. I'm all in on that. I'm intrigued by Anthony Santander. I'm kind of like, I think he's going to get overpaid. We talked about this very early in the offseason of, like, if you say you want Santander and Burns instead of Soto, you're going to get 2 players who combine for less value than Soto probably will. And I'm going to stand by that. Like, I'm going to 100% stand by that. But I will say, at least I can confidently say I think Santander and Burns will make at about as much as Soto versus where I thought they were going to make more than Soto. Maybe that's the one alteration I'd make to that comment, but I still feel the same way. Santander hits home runs. Santander would play great at Yankee Stadium. He actually has slightly better defensive metrics in the outfield than Hernandez, but I don't love the idea of Santander. Like, I think Teoscar Hernandez is a slightly better hitter in a couple of regards. He just hits the ball so freaking hard. And then the last thing I'd like to mention, Alex, is that infield defense. I want Ha-Seong Kim. And I want a first baseman. The reason I say that, and I say that to say, again, you want to lead into run prevention. Get me Ha-Seong Kim, Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, and, like, sign Christian Walker or trade for Nathaniel Lowe. Oh my God, you're great defensively, right? You're unbelievable defensively. You've got 4 guys who are going to win Gold Gloves potentially, playing their positions throughout a full season. Yes, I'm saying that about Jazz Chisholm. He is a stellar defender at third base. I stand by that. Defensive run saved says he's not great, but outs above average and fielding run value says he is. And if you watch him play defense, his problem is not tough plays, it's routine plays, and those routine plays, it's a lot of communication stuff. Him and Volpe kind of like colliding at second in the hole. That's stuff I don't really care about. So, Alex, I think if you put that kind of team together, Lau is the guy who's going to hit, a bunch of doubles and home runs. Hernandez is going to hit a lot of home runs. Kim is going to play elite level defense. If you wanted to get a little crazier here, maybe go Brendan Donovan. Alex, we have had a love affair basically with Brendan Donovan on Fireside Yankees since the inception of the channel. Brendan Donovan, since he stepped out of the womb, has been a love interest for me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So, yes, it doesn't make sense because he's like a decade older than me, but you get my point. He's not a decade older. He's like 6-7 years at this point. But if they got Donovan Hernandez and then got a first baseman, maybe that's a Christian Walker. Maybe that's even, I think at that point I could even live with Carlos Santana just to have the defense. Actually, no, I'd want a little better. But you get my point. I think there are ways to contend. They should try to be very good defensively in the infield. Try to get as much offense as they can from that last outfield spot. I really am curious to see how Brian Cashman navigates this offseason. I'm very curious to see it. As you mentioned, he's going to prove his worth this winter. We're going to see what he's capable to do, willing to do. And the last thing I want to throw out here, let's hope the Minnesota Twins want to shed some payroll, because there is a shortstop in Minnesota that I would love to bring to the Bronx. Heel turn, bring a villain here. I love the attitude he brings. I don't even have to mention
Carlos
his name.
Correa action.
The attitude he brings to the table, the way he plays baseball, that like he's a villain. He's so easy to hate. The Yankees are not hateable. Everyone just makes fun of the Yeah, everyone makes fun of the Yankees. Everyone's making fun of the Yankees right now. I'm tired of that shit. I want to be the most hated team in baseball. That's what I want.
He's only 30.
Right, I want everyone in baseball to look at the Yankees and say, those guys are dickheads. Fuck those guys. Excuse my language. I want that energy. I need that in this team. I need this team to exude that kind of energy, because they got punched in the mouth and they've got to punch right back. I'm just saying, if the Twins want to cut payroll, Carlos Correa, how much do you think it's going to cost to get him in terms of prospects? You're not trading Jason Dominguez to get him. You might not even trade Spencer Jones to get him. Are you even trading Spencer Jones to get him? Like, it's a lot of money.
He's 30. He's coming off plantar fasciitis surgery.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Again, that's all I'm saying. All right, so yeah, that's my last word on that.
There are ways to get creatively better. You haven't even mentioned your favorite guy, LeBron Wade Jr. yet, which is like, if you were able to get him in a combination, if you walked away this offseason with Fried, Teoscar Hernandez, and Lamont Wade Jr., and Hong Sung Kim, like you're probably feeling pretty good about your offseason. You know what I mean? Like, if Soto doesn't exist in this instance, obviously, like you walk away with those 4 players. You are an elite defensive team. You have a way more offensive production from several key positions. And Ryan, you said it. Brendan Donovan's been our love child for so long. We've loved Brendan Donovan. He is so versatile. He's coming off a season, like, obviously the injuries in 2023 were apparent, 95 games he played. But this year he bounced back. Played in 153 games. He had 278, 115 WRC+, 3.2 WAR, great defender. Hit 14 homers, 73 RBIs, and this is a lefty. So I actually wonder, I don't know if you can pull up the stats for me, Ryan, but like, how many home runs would Brendan Donovan have hit? He hit 14 homers. How many would he have hit in Yankee Stadium?
I don't have to Google this. I know this off the top of my head. It's 19. And I'm going to double check on StatCash.
That's 5 extra homers, dude.
Yeah,
that's like a 5 WRC+. That's a 5% boost to his WRC+.
Yep, it's 19. I'm that guy, man. I mean, he would have had 8 in 2022 instead of 5, 12 in 2023 instead of 11, 19 in 2024 instead of 14. This guy would actually be like a power hitter at Yankee Stadium. That's kind of crazy to say. He would hit for like power at Yankee Stadium. They'd probably
get his launch angle up too, and maybe even crack 20.
He could actually hit 20 home runs, run an insanely low strikeout rate, lead off. Oh, good Lord. He's beautiful. He plays all over. And him and Jazz play all over the field. You can do whatever the hell you want. What if, like,
he's a great defender too. I would say good defender.
The last thing I want to throw out here in terms of like roster versatility, we are in the point of the Stanton contract where if he's absolutely terrible, you can cut him. Mm-hmm. If he's absolutely horrible, you can cut him. So,
but we saw flashes of Stanton being elite.
I think he's gonna be good.
I don't think he's dead yet. I think he's got gas left in the tank. But the Yankees, like, listen, I think they're going to get very creative. I think Cashman's working the phones right now for sure, because this is a key juncture in New York baseball, right? This is a key juncture. Either the Yankees become Team B, or they maintain their bold approach and go neck and neck with the Mets and say, we're not going quietly into the night, guys. Like, we are going to fight this. We are going to get better. We are going to improve. they had plan Bs mapped out. Do they want to execute them? Absolutely not. But I think we're going to see some really aggressive signings within the next 2 days. I think we'll see a couple trades. If they get Max Fried, I would not be surprised to see if they traded Nestor Cortez or Marcus Stroman for somebody. I know you're a big fan of potentially getting Josh Naylor as well as a potential solution at first base. Another name you haven't mentioned. Like, we've listed off 100 names already. Like, the Yankees, like, there is no question. If they walk away without making many upgrades this offseason, we are going to be very pissed off because they have so many opportunities to get better. And they just said to us, Ryan, we're willing to give $760 million to one player. They better be willing to spread that money out. Is there a world where you'd like Alex Bregman? I know the home runs wouldn't really translate to Yankee Stadium well, but I know he wants like 200 mil. Maybe he settles in between at like 175, 180. But is that somebody you would be interested in Bregman? Because I know he's a little bit older, 30 years old. He's not that old, but a great defender, one of the best bats. He's been a Yankee killer his whole career. Is that somebody you would have your eyes on?
I think, okay, I'd rather pay Bregman than Max Fried and Corbin Burns. Maybe not Corbin Burns. I like Max Fried. I think I just kind of like, I'm thinking about it really hard, and it's like, man, am I really going to sell myself? Like, Max Fried has hit the IL every single year since 2017. I'm getting a lot of, like, when I was super into Carlos Rodon vibes, and I was like, man, we should, like, he's like a top 5 pitcher in the world. And then, like, he just keeps getting hurt. Didn't get hurt last year, granted, but you get my point. Just kind of a little bit of vibes like that. Like, should I really be caring about future? Like, am I really, like, gonna compare a guy who doesn't make 30 starts and pitch 100 innings a year to a guy who makes 33 starts a year and pitches 190 innings a year and has a similar ERA, right? Like, that feels a little crazy. And then as it pertains to Bregman, I'd just rather pay a position player because, like, again, it's that injury clause, right? If Corbin Burns throws a cutter weird, you lose him for a year and a half. If Alex Bregman tweaks his ankle, he's gone for 2 months. Oh no! Oh shit! Oh my God! You're gonna lose him for 2. Oh, it's like not even the worst thing in the world. You just any time a player gets hurt, we're just gonna say, as long as they're healthy for the postseason, right? Like, that's all we really care about, that kind of stuff. You know, whether I actually believe that or not, or whether I'm like hiding tears as I say that. But like, seriously, I mean, I think position players are better investments than pitchers long term. So, yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, like you said, one wrong pitch and suddenly you lose your $30 million per season pitcher for months, if not a year. I know Max Fried has spent lots of time on the IL. So, that is something to be wary of. It is something to be aware of. But, I'll say this, like the Yankees, how many players can we list off that are not only available in free agency, but also available via trade? Like, they can get significantly better. Are you going to make up 8.1 WAR? Probably not. But I don't think Soto's going to replicate 8.1 WAR. I think he's probably going to go back to maybe 6.77 WAR, which would still be an elite season by every single metric. But you can make up 7 WAR with 3 players. You can make up 7. Christian Walker is going to give you 3. You can go get it could be really anybody in the outfield, whether it's Teoscar Hernandez, who, this past season had 3.5. So you're already 3.5, 6.5. That's about Soto's average WAR throughout his career. You can make it up to that in that way, just in terms of just playing the numbers. But you run the risk, like multiple players comes with more injury risk, instead of Soto, who plays 157 games a year, like every single year, no matter what. So, there are situations where, you obviously look at the WAR and how many games players play in the end. But look, I think Brendan Donovan might be a guy that we keep circling back around, Ryan. I really like that idea. Lots of control left there. 2028, he's a free agent, so he's getting 3 more years left of control, dude. Like,
I'd extend
Donovan
him like
do a lot.
as soon as humanly possible. Like, if we traded for him, I would literally sit him down and go, all right, man, here's $100 million over 10 years. Like, you're never leaving this franchise. And that's another thing too.
Much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't, like, it sounds like it's 10 million a year. It's $100 million guaranteed dollars. I promise you, if you present it to him, I'm not saying he'd take it, but he'd go, should I take it? Like, should I think about it? Hell, give him 150 over 10 years. I don't care. Like, I don't care, man. He's your second baseman if you need him to be. He's your third baseman if you need him to be. And that's what, again, Jazz outfield. Like, what if, God forbid, Judge gets hurt? Okay, go play Brendan Donovan in right field.
What happens if Caleb Durbin looks awesome and they love Caleb Durbin? Right. They're like, wait, hold on, maybe we just move Brendan Donovan to the outfield.
What if Dominguez gets hurt? What if Judge is like, all right, I'm better off at first base? Brendan Donovan could play first base. Like, what if you're like, shit, I can't get a first baseman. I'm going to go, like, do something else. I don't know. There are so many ways to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, this is this is a player that, I mean, we all really like, at least on this podcast. You guys can drop your thoughts down below in the comment section. But he also was great with runners in scoring position. 279, 356 OBP, 412 slugging. He's not going to slug a ton for you, but he's going to get on base. He's going to make good contact, doesn't strike out a lot. Like, the Yankees can play this game. They can go like in a couple different directions. You could add a Teoscar Hernandez. You could add a Brendan Donovan. You could add another like low strikeout guy. Just like lower the strikeout rates, increase a little bit of power on the outfield, and balance things out here and have a more balanced approach. Soto, you lose obviously elite play discipline. You lose the thing about this situation, Ryan, is you have to find a number 2 hitter that's going to set Aaron Judge up now. A guy that's going to get on base a lot. I mean, like a guy like Lamont Wade Jr. makes a lot of sense with a 38% on base percentage. You need a guy that's going to generate opportunities for Judge to hit home runs with guys on base. No more. We can't settle for Judge solo shots. Like that's what made Soto so important to this equation, was he got on base so much that Judge was always batting runners in. He was always able to capitalize. So now you have to find a guy who's going to make good contact and get on base a lot to hit in front of Judge. Is there someone that, like, to you that would be like, okay, this is my number 2. This is the guy we have to go after. This is the person that's going to be the best replacement for that specific role. I know nothing compares to Soto, but like, what's your next man up instead of like you thinking about how you can maximize Aaron Judge, because that really is an important factor in the Yankees lineup.
Yeah, Aaron Judge has to hit second now because he's their best hitter, so I want my best hitter hitting second. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think there's an individual star player I'm looking at and going, yeah, you bring him in, it's like you have Soto and Judge again, because there's no one like that. Absolutely no one like that. And again, like, I don't want this episode to be portrayed as like us going here and saying it's a blessing they lost Soto. They're going to spread the wealth. It's going to be great. No, they're going to be a worse team than they would have been if they had Juan Soto. I guarantee you that. Like, I freaking guarantee you that. But it's more of like this sucks, this hurts, but we actually have to try to get better, and you can't just like throw a tantrum and pretend that the season up ahead isn't happening. John Morosi just reported the Yankees are among teams that have strong interest in Anthony Santander. Now, John Morosi, so kind of a little bit of a tad bit of a tax there. You kind of go, oh, that's interesting, right?
Santander's
You go like
coming off a best season though. Like, he's gonna regress. You're gonna overpay for his best season at 30 years old.
Yeah, I'm literally just pointing it out because I saw it on my.
No, I know.
I mean, look, I think Santander's a good player. I think he's a good hitter, but like, right,
There's a lot of home runs for you. He's a horrible defender. Switch hitter at least. Like, you'll get value from him. How much are you willing to give him though? I mean, I could rationalize $20 million a year, but anything more than that,
I couldn't rationalize 20. I would, dude. Like Tyler O'Neill got
17?
3 years, 45. Why does Hernandez? Why would Santander get way more? I mean, O'Neill and him had very similar numbers. O'Neill had
played for 150 plus games for 3 straight years.
Right. O'Neill doesn't have the same injury like certainty, but like,
maybe you give him 18 million a year.
If it was 18 a year for 3 years, like, I'd do it. Yeah, I'd do that.
That's not that bad. He's probably better. I mean, he's definitely better value than like you're getting from Bellinger. And you'd be paying Bellinger $10 million more than that. I mean, assuming that you obviously don't take on any money, or the Cubs don't take on any money, but like Santander's, I mean, hit 44 homers last year, right? 28 homers in 2023 and 33 in 2022. I am curious though, how much better he would be, or even worse, in Yankee Stadium. Do you know what the numbers are there in terms of
Santander
home run correlation? Yeah,
this was the first year where I think he would have had fewer home runs at Yankee Stadium than anywhere else. Yeah, he would have had 40 instead of 44, but the year prior was 36. The year before that was 37. I think he would hit more home runs. Lefty. I would legitimately think he would hit more home runs here. That's my take. But the one concern I do have, he had a 291 WOBA against four-seamers with a 279 expected WOBA. That's way down from last year. When someone's really bad against four-seam fastballs, you kind of go, is there a hole in this guy's swing? Is he going to like fall off a cliff next year? That's kind of why I'm a little bit sour on Walker. Like, I was a huge Christian Walker guy. Then I looked at his numbers against four-seam fastballs and I went, shoot, that's not good, right? Like, usually guys who like struggle with velocity are aging or not good. No one's throwing softer, right, Alex? Guys are only throwing harder. So, it's a little.
Is that why you like Hernandez a little bit more because he's better against four-seamers?
It's really just the fact that I don't see anything that indicates to me that Teoscar Hernandez should be worse next year. I've seen a guy who had one down year in a weird ballpark in Seattle, right? Consistently hits the absolute crap out of the ball, struck out less last year than he did the year before that, chased less this year than he did the year before. He chased a lot less than he usually does. I mean, Alex, this is kind of crazy. In 2022, in 2023, he had a 35.2% chase rate and a 5.8% whiff rate. This year, he had a 28.7% chase rate and a 34% whiff rate. That's kind of crazy. That's pretty freaking crazy. He's in the 83rd percentile in sprint speed. He's pretty fast. I think if he played right field, he'd live out there. He actually would have hit more home runs in 2023 if he played at Yankee Stadium. This year, would have only hit 31 instead of 33 at Yankee Stadium, which, again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He also hits the ball just so hard that, like, he could actually go, I'm just going to hit the ball to right field and I'm going to take it out, like, every single time. He has, like, not Judge Stanton level power. Yeah, it's pretty close. He hits the ball pretty hard. Like, he hits the you-know-what out. He hits the sugar honey iced tea out of the ball. I'm going to stop trying to drop curse words. He hits the crap out of the ball. And his thing, breaking ball performance. Last year, 40.4% whiff rate and had a 238 WOBA. The year before that, 239 WOBA, 42.6% whiff rate. This year, 331 WOBA. Still a high whiff rate, but that's fine. You don't care. He hit the ball well against breaking balls, and he kills fastballs, man. This guy gets four-seamers. He crushes them.
Dude, also his numbers with runners in scoring position are absolutely elite.
I mean we saw it in the postseason.
288, 396 OBP, 943 OPS. This dude is going to come up to bat with men on base and dominate, which maybe he's a perfect number 3 hitter behind Judge for that reason, Right.
You'd want to get some left-handed power so that you can have, like, Judge, Stack, Hernandez, then you can go to Stanton and then go to Chisholm. But I'm not sure who that would be. We shall see.
Baby.
Yeah,
Wade.
I view Wade as more
or
of a
Naylor,
but
or Josh Naylor.
Naylor would be. I mean, if they got Hernandez and Naylor, good God, man, God.
You immediately, but like that's possible. If you go get Fried, you trade Nestor Cortez to Cleveland for Josh Naylor, maybe Nestor and somebody else, a prospect for Naylor. You walk away with Naylor, Fried, Teoscar Hernandez, and you sign Kim. I mean, you're a lot better, like a freaking lot better. I mean, just by the numbers, like the margin between Anthony Rizzo and Josh Naylor is like a 40 WRC plus difference. It's absurd, like a 40 WRC plus difference. The difference between, I mean, like I'm playing this specific metric, but the difference between Teoscar Hernandez, who had a 134, and Juan Soto at a 180 is 50. So, like, you're making up ground there by one acquisition at first base offensively just because of how fucking bad Rizzo is. Like, I'm sorry. Like you said, you don't want to curse. I just had to drop that one because Rizzo was an absolute
I didn't say I wanted to curse.
Liability.
I mean, I wasn't going to.
I also
want to say this, and I'm literally going to, like, write this timestamp is 36 minutes and 55 seconds. The New York Yankees should go get Luis Robert Jr. At first, I was very much against it. But after reports have come out that the price tag isn't too high, Alex, the New York Yankees should take the lottery ticket. Imagine Luis Robert Jr. putting up a 130 WRC plus and playing elite defense. And that type of player, he has the kind of ceiling where, yes, you could get a 6 to 7 WAR year out of him. Not a single player on the free agent market represents that. If the Yankees got Luis Robert Jr., and they could do it. I think they could do it without trading Dominguez. I genuinely think the New York Yankees could figure out a way to do it. If the New York Yankees got Luis Robert Jr., they are in a pretty good starting position. Then you can build your roster out from there. Could you imagine Robert hitting like third for this team behind Judge, the speed he brings, the power he brings? I know he's an injury risk. I get that. But I think, again, like the White Sox apparently are desperate. They just want to get rid of him. They don't want to risk his value tanking. And don't you think maybe he stopped caring because you play in freaking Chicago with the White Sox? Again, if you're a kid listening to this, just this one segment, maybe not so much. I would blow my brains out if I played for the Chicago White Sox. I'd blow my brains out. I would not want to play baseball. That team sucks. Anywho, Luis Robert Jr. would be special for the New York Yankees. I promise you that. That would be a player. I was so against it for so long, and then because I thought you'd cost like Jason Dominguez. I don't think he's costing you Jason Dominguez anymore.
Maybe
I think
Spencer?
You can get Luis Robert Jr. I'd trade Spencer Jones in a heartbeat for Luis Robert Jr. I don't even think that's like going to get it done. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But yeah, I mean, Alex, they need to find a way to like get upside. They need ceiling and upside. I don't want like boring, like he's a high floor player. He had a career year last year. Like, I don't care. I like all these guys are like 31, 32. Like, they're going to be awful contracts. And I also like, just throwing this out here. Let's say, Kyle Tucker hits free agency next year. right? That's all I want. Anywho, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Robert, like, if you could get him, you're getting a guy that could be a true superstar. I mean, we saw the difference between Jazz Chisholm in Miami and Jazz Chisholm in New York. And this is two different players, guys, like vastly different. You go from one of the worst teams and careless teams to one of the best. I mean, they're about to trade Garrett Crochet as well. Like, they are literally... they're in fire mode, they're in sell mode, and I think that Luis Robert is the high upside acquisition you get. You pair him with another couple players, you can turn things around. I mean, he's making nothing, dude. When is he expire? I don't even know when his arbitration expires.
He's got 3 years left.
So he's on control.
He's on an extension, so it's literally like $50 million a year towards the luxury tax. Could you imagine Robert Hernandez, like not Hernandez because you'd have an out. Robert, you pay an infielder. I don't know who it would be. Don't ask me. That's not my. I'm not.
Maybe you go crazy. You get Garrett Crochet, Luis Robert. You trade Jason Dominguez and a whole fuck ton of players and just go nuts.
That'd be really funny. I don't think they could do that. I don't think the White Sox would do that. But could you imagine like Robert? Maybe you do have to trade Dominguez to get Robert. I think that would be a little too much for me. I don't know about you. Would you do Dominguez for Robert straight up, like 1-for-1, nothing else? Because I would be a little bit hesitant.
I don't think I would because Dominguez is 21. Like,
right? Like you don't
want to. He's like a baby. Like he's not a 25-year-old prospect. Yeah. He's 21 years old, and he's shown flashes of being elite at times. Like when he's turned on, this guy is capable of producing at an extremely high level, and people are writing him off because of an oblique injury here, some issues there. Like, we have to give this guy a chance. Like, talk about high upside, Ryan. We're talking about ridiculous upside with Jason Dominguez at next to no cost. We have to see what we have before we try to dump him for a guy who, like you said, has injury issues, has been volatile. Like, I don't want to risk that just yet. I'd rather trade other prospects and package together players than move off. I'd rather trade Spencer Jones and like a couple pitchers or whatever it might be. I don't know. Or I'd rather just sign Teoscar Hernandez and not go after Luis Robert if it's going to cost us Jason Dominguez. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I know people are scared of Dominguez and stuff like that, but people forget he's 21. Like, the upside here is stupendous. We don't necessarily know if he could be a superstar or if he's just going to be okay. Like, I need to see what he's got first, because this guy's been one of the most highly touted prospects for like 5 years. We need to finally see that come to fruition. We need to see if that's a reality. But I do like the Luis Robert idea. I think that it'd be interesting to see what the Yankees have to trade to get him. If you had an outfield of Luis Robert, Jason Dominguez, and Aaron Judge, like, you can walk into next season happy with that. You upgrade first base. You do some other stuff like, this team has ways to get better. I think we're going to see some moves happen. I know they're also probably going to be heavily involved in the bullpen market. We're going to see, instead of Juan Soto, they're going to get 4 or 5 players right now. And it's going to be like, does it make up for that loss? It depends who the players are. It depends what the positions they address. But one thing is for sure, I think they're going to add a starting pitcher. I don't know who that's going to be. I think they're going to add a big bat at first base. I think they're going to add maybe a defensive first option like him. So I don't know. I'm curious, Ryan. Any final thoughts?
No, I just this sucks. It sucks not having this sucks, dude. God, this blows. I had to remove Soto Shuffle off my playlist. You know how painful that was? You know how painful it was just wanting to wake up and go, I gotta take this song out of my playlist. They made a whole song. He's a Yankee. The Bronx. Are you kidding me, man? Oh well. Yeah, let's just go with the series. Winning fixes everything. I don't like. Could be. I watched the Giants, man. Dude, it could be worse.
The Padres got better after they traded Juan Soto. It's not impossible. It's not impossible to get better after losing a star talent. Like you said earlier, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say like the Yankees are going to be better. They're probably not going to be. But they can be good enough to make it to the World Series, and once you get to the big game, like, nobody knows. I mean, dude, I'm a Giants fan, for God's sakes. All I saw were Giants teams, like, I mean, not lately, but 10 years ago, defying all odds. You know what I mean? This is what sports is all about, the underdog. I mean, this is what it's all about. The Diamondbacks in 2023, like, make it to the freaking World Series. Like, you just don't know when a team will get hot. You don't know when guys are going to step up. You don't know what the health situation is going to be like. The Dodgers and the Mets now have to fight it out in the NLCS every single year to get to the World Series. So let them battle it out. The Mets, yeah, they're going to be a really good baseball team, but they might not even make it to the World Series. They have to go through the freaking Dodgers first, who are like stacked to the brim with talent. Like, the Mets, yeah, they have no choice but to go down this route because they're going to be literally not competitive if they don't go after Soto and make further upgrades. But the Yankees have a much easier path in the American League, and all you have to do is win one series. That's all it takes. Just get a little bit lucky in a couple games. Shore up your defense, add a big bat to the outfield, make some upgrades, add another starting pitcher. The Yankees can get right back to this thing and be competitive next year. I have no question about it. I mean, dude, 2 years ago, this team was winning like crazy. We were like, this team, like, how are they even doing this? And they did not have Juan Soto then. You know what I mean? Like, I know they lost to the Astros, who obviously were superior at the time, and when they had a lot of guys in their prime. But like, baseball is a game of averages, right? Baseball is a game of getting hot at the right time in the playoffs. Like, this is. Don't rule out the Yankees yet, man. Like, this is a long offseason still. There's a lot that's going to happen. We'll see how good of a GM Brian Cashman really is. But by no means am I sitting here telling you right now the Yankees are out and out and done. Or they're going to be bad next year. Or they're not going to be competitive. Because Hal Steinbrenner didn't just put $760 million on the table to then back off and be not even going to say what I want to say, but be scared of getting better. He is going to be a bold owner, and plan B is going to be aggressive. They're going to make upgrades. They're going to be a good team next year. It's just a matter of who it is they're actually going to sign and where they're going to fill these gaps. So Ryan will react. We'll keep coming up with ideas. We'll do some player breakdowns and fits and structures and how this thing can kind of materialize. And obviously all the rumors are going to be flowing over the next couple of days are going to be absolutely off the walls, off the charts. We got you guys covered on those as well. I hope you guys got a little bit of venting and frustration out in this episode. I know, like, this was really about Plan B. It was really about understanding what really just happened here. But the truth of the matter is simple. The Yankees have competition in New York now. The Mets are no joke. But that does not make the Yankees incompetent. That does not make the Yankees a losing organization. They are the epitome of success. They have been for a long time. They just got a taste of a World Series. Hal Steinbrenner clearly tasted that World Series and said, I need to go back there. I need to get back in that freaking series. I got to do what it takes. They are not going quietly into the night. I'm excited to see what they do. They're going to get creative. I know it sucks right now, but this is just step one. We knew this was a possibility. We knew this could happen, and it did happen. So now we have to react and hope that front office has a good plan in place to pick up the pieces. But guys, always happy to hear your thoughts down below in the YouTube comment section. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.
Perfect.